Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Crane, and I am the Program Director at the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship. And you are listening to a Global Industry Spotlight, a conversational series focused on providing resources and insight for the creative entrepreneur. We are streaming live out of the Comcast Business Startup Studio, a room designed for Chicago's small business community located at 2112, Chicago's first music, film, and tech incubator. The Global Industry Spotlight today is on Laura Castellanos, CEO and founder of Castellanos Communications, a communication studio in the Dominican Republic, specialized in podcast production, audiovisual, and digital content creation. She has a master's degree in communications and culture at the University of Seville and a bachelor's degree in advertising communications from APEC University in Dominican Republic. Her podcast, Gente Brava, or Brave People in English, has been highly praised, and it is an intimate dialogue about identity, courage, and motivation, which aims to highlight different Dominican and Caribbean personalities. I'm really excited to bring her into the conversation today. She was with us at 2112 for a month. She's an awesome person and a great person to talk to today. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for those words. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me
absolutely.
today.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and it was really, wonderful getting to know you as you were here at 2112, getting to learn about your company, some of the work that you're doing, a podcast. We're producing a podcast right now, so we actually
Yeah.
asked Laura to give us some feedback on some of the things we could improve on, or some of the things that she saw, and it was really helpful to hear from her. But before we get into that, can you just talk a little bit about your history and starting, Castellanos Communications? And building this podcast?
Yes. Well, I would define my business in two phases or stages. Like at the beginning, we were doing social media management. I come from the advertising world. That's what I did at that moment, like doing content for brands in the sectors of tourism, entertainment, and other types of business. We did that until the pandemic, and then all those clients started to shut down as the pandemic did for a lot of businesses as well. And we decided to just focus on the production part. At the same time, I founded my business. I started a podcast as a hobby. It was just something I was curious about, and when we were doing it, a lot of brands and corporate clients, such as like banks in the Dominican Republic, started to ask us about producing their own podcast. So in the pandemic, we decided just to focus on those services, the production part of the podcast for brands and corporate clients, and also audiovisual content for social media. But we decided not to do social media management at that point. So I would define that like my business started doing something, and then we changed to doing something else, and it worked at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting journey, and one that um, I'm very curious about and passionate about myself. It's like, how do you
Yeah.
build a career where you're able to make an income, but also have some sort of social impact? What are you giving back to the world?
Yeah.
And it seems like, like you talked about, hey, I started here, in marketing, and this was kind of the focus. And then I
Hmm.
started something as a hobby, and now you have, corporations who are interested in being involved.
Yeah.
So when you started Brave People or Gente Brava, when did you start to get, when did banks start to approach you saying, hey, this is an interesting subject, we want to get involved?
Yeah, it was maybe 9 months after that. I think that they realized, not just because we were doing our own podcast, also because there's only a few of us doing podcasts in the Dominican Republic. It's something really small. It's a small industry, not unlike the United States, where it's like super developed. Um, and they saw that we were doing it, but also they found out that podcasts were an awesome format to build community and to get to know their own audiences and to create content that it's different from the content you do for social media, in the sense that it's a space for reflection, it's a space for talking about subjects that you might not talk in social media, just because like those are the mainstream platforms now, and podcasts are maybe like the underdog format. And
Yeah.
it's also like a format where a lot of people become really loyal to the host and to the subjects and to the podcast itself. So I guess that there were two factors: that the fact that we were one of the few people doing it in the Dominican Republic, the fact that they liked our own podcast, and the fact that they come to realize that it was an interesting format to try. Banks as the financial sector is a cold sector. Like people don't really get connected to what they say on social media, maybe. So it was really cool to see people also like getting into the podcast wave. Like you wouldn't expect that from banks.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're building community,
Yeah,
and you're also highlighting important voices.
yeah.
I think culturally, hopefully we can all get behind that, depending on where we are. I mean, podcasts are a great outlet to tell important stories,
Mm-hmm.
to highlight people that maybe haven't been highlighted,
Yep.
and to also just build a better a better world. Not to be cheesy.
Yes,
So
and I think sorry,
no, go
and
ahead.
I talked about the corporate services as well, but in Gente Brava, in Brave People, our own podcast, we do try to make a different kind of content, more curated content, more focused on quality more than quantity, and to talk with people that maybe you wouldn't hear from. Yes, we do have like famous people from the Dominican Republic, but we also like try to focus on people who are also really talented, but maybe it's like they're undiscovered, or you don't see a lot of content about those types of people. So yeah, I guess our social impact is maybe that we focus on unheard voices as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And your work as a female founder and CEO, what kind of challenges have you had, in building your company, as a woman, in going into sectors where maybe you are the minority in terms of a bank, or, in the corporate world. Can you talk a little bit about what you've had to kind of overcome, or what are some of the challenges you've walked through?
Yeah, I gotta say that all my clients are mostly women, because
Oh,
women are the ones that are like supervisors, or the ones that like maybe not the bosses itself, like, but they are the supervisors who are uh like acquiring those services from us. As a woman, I guess like the main challenge for me was representation. There are not a lot of women doing podcasts in the Dominican Republic. All the colleagues I've met, they are men, and in the audiovisual production part, you also like see a lot of men producers more than women producers, which is weird because women are also more we are like highly organized, and it would be natural to see more women producers as men, but in the Dominican Republic I've met a lot of men who are in the production part more than women. So that's the main challenge, I will say. It's representation, and not having enough conversations with women who are doing the same thing as me. So
right. I
yeah.
think the internet dropped there for a second, but I'm glad you recapped there at the end. I have to
Oh.
be honest and tell a funny story, or a good story about Laura. So when we
Oh.
asked her to look at our podcast, she came to me and basically asked, what about using a different perspective, like not the white male interviewing, other people,
Yeah.
having a younger person, or, a female person, how that conversation can change the dynamic, which was helpful. And also, I was like, oh no, I'm old. But but at the same time, it's an important conversation, right? It's like
Yeah.
we need to make sure that we are pushing, diverse voices, and also people who are asking the questions, and so that we're creating a culture where the dynamic is diverse,
Yeah, of
in
course.
conversation, in the way it looks, in the way it feels. Those things are important if we're going to push the culture forward. So
Yeah,
I
and you
applaud
were,
you to saying that to me. That was our first conversation was, what if you got somebody a little, younger, maybe female to host the spotlight? And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, let's talk.
yeah. I guess like we do need your perspective as well, but and thank you for being so open about that, because maybe another person would be like offended or something like that. It
No,
wasn't my intention to like this is perfect, but we also need like those perspectives, because even where like you having the best intentions of talking about women's issues, you still don't get the women's perspective of those issues. So I guess it's really important for women like me to watch other women doing it, or
right,
saying like and
right.
talking about those issues. As I said in my previous answer, like my main challenge is representation. So it would be really helpful also to have a maybe a woman that is the host of this program talking about other issues that you might not be able to talk fully, you know?
Looks like we are having a little bit of technical difficulty. Um,
Oh, I hope it's not
the
me. Oh.
Yeah, I'm hoping it may be us as well. I think everything's good now. But yeah, keep going with what you were saying to say it again.
No, but my main point was that even with your best intentions and all your knowledge and information about women's issues, we as women need to like talk with other women about those issues and have that
Right.
representation. I think that's really important. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you know, for you, like you spent a month here in Chicago as a part of the YLI group, and now you're heading back probably home. What's
yeah.
next for your company, for the podcast? What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to?
I'm so grateful to have participated in that program. It's the Wildlife Program, Young Leaders of the Americas, and to have 2112 as a host. I'm super grateful to Scott, to Rob, to you for all the help and the support. But like the main like lesson from all this from this program is first that it like it gave me a lot of clarity for my business and for the next steps I
Hmm.
have to take to think about my business as a global business. I'm bilingual. I'm Latina. I'm a Latina woman. So what if like I start to work with other clients in other parts of the world, doing the same things that I do in the Dominican Republic? That would be interesting. So yeah, I learned a lot from all the people I've met. But that's the main thing. It's clarity about dream bigger and like going global and just yeah, the next steps are going back home and like revise all the, for example, our communications outlet, translate
Right.
everything that we have in Spanish to English so we can make that happen, and just like revise our whole plan operations wise, with all that we learned, and maybe have a better customer experience after this.
Yeah, and in terms of going global, that's
Yeah.
that's awesome and really important. And and so what do you see as some of the kind of the next steps? You said, okay, we're going to translate a lot of our can understand, on a global sense, but also just expanding where do you see specific places that you could kind of find a niche that would be good to work on.
Yeah, well, United States will be an awesome example of that, but also other parts of Latin America, like other countries in the fellowship. We had like maybe 256 other fellows from other parts of Latin America. So I think that it would be also great for our business to go to those places, to those countries, and also like Spain. It's a Spanish speaker country. Um, I think maybe I froze. Okay, so maybe Daniel will be back.
All right, I'm back. Or I got you.
So yeah, I was saying that we were waiting for you. That I just kept silent. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry to everyone that's listening today. We're having some technical issues. It happens in life.
Yeah.
Not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But I'm
It's
trying to
fine. Like
I'm trying to be cool
I've
about
been
it.
there as well. Yeah, I've been there as well. It's okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's happening. But so the last okay, so you're one of the things you said is translating some of your services into English. What
Yeah.
are some of the other
Yeah.
things that you see as like opportunity spaces for your company?
Yeah, and with that, with the, you know, seeing the whole global spectrum of my business, and also like just not only translating, but also like it's a matter of planning, and maybe, I don't know, going to like other Spanish speaking countries like Spain, working with them, collaborating with other Latin American podcasters as well. That I met a lot of them through Wildlife, through the
Mhm.
Wildlife program. Also, it would be really interesting for us to create new podcasts, maybe a podcast in English because our podcast is in Spanish. So that would be also really interesting. And yeah, it's maybe like I don't know, maybe it's all about not only translating, but also like maybe changing the mindset of thinking maybe my business is not only a Dominican based business, it's just like a global business. That translates also into having better packages, service packages, for example, better, refined customers journey for not Spanish speaking clients, those type of things.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
for the pod, what you want to just continue doing the work? Are there any things or people that you're excited about that you're going to have on it? What's
Yeah,
next for that podcast?
we are actually now in New York City. We are expecting to record here with
Oh, awesome.
Dominican living here in the United States, specifically in New York City. We are trying to get Yasser Tejeda, who is a Dominican musician living here in Brooklyn,
Yeah,
super talented.
I know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
Well,
contact with them
okay,
actually.
well, we are just waiting for him to confirm the dates that he's available so we can record with him, and
Awesome.
also maybe with a Dominican author. I usually don't like to talk about interviews before we record them, but maybe it will happen, maybe won't happen. But with Junot Diaz, he's a Dominican author. We're trying also to get in touch with him so we can record the podcast here. There are a lot of people listening to Gente Brava, to Brave People, our podcast in the United States, mostly speaking Spanish people. So I guess there are a lot of Dominicans living here that are also listening to us, and maybe other Latin American living in New York City that are also listening to the podcast. So it's really important to us to record one or two interviews while we're here. So yeah, that's maybe gonna happen this week, and then
Fantastic.
when we go back to the Dominican Republic, just keep recording the interviews we had uh, postponed because of the wildlife program.
And then do you have a mobile setup for the podcast, or do you have to find a space in New York to record it?
No, well, actually, our concept is mobile, like the whole concept. We visit the studios and the houses of all of the people that we interview. We don't have a studio per se, so we have USB mics, for example, that they're also like easier to use when you are traveling, and we
Right.
use a computer with the mic setup. So, and it has been working really good. Like the podcast sounds great, and it gives us like it's, for example, really awesome to hear maybe background noises for the from the people that you're interviewing in the podcast. Like, I don't know, their dog, or I don't know,
Right.
something happening in their house. It just
Hmm.
gives them like a lot of more intimacy when you hear it, like the episode at the end. So yeah,
Yeah, that's exciting. And
yeah,
I think to kind of end the conversation, um, if you were to give advice to, a younger generation, maybe a younger woman, who, is interested in starting their own, communications company or marketing agency or podcast, what would be some of the advice that you would have for them?
yeah. I would definitely invest in having a podcast platform if I was a business. And you might say like, oh, she sells that, so that's why she's saying it. But I do believe in the format and all the benefits that it can bring to brands. I would definitely advise to get somebody to help you with that. It can be tricky because it's like a I don't know, maybe easy format to make. You can make a podcast with your own phone if you want to, but I would advise you to get somebody to help you with the technical stuff, editing the podcast, to also produce and to help you get the ideas right, the subjects, the interviewees if you're going to do an interview podcast, and also that keep it simple, keep it organic. Sometimes brands want to control like every detail of the conversation, but what works in podcasting, it's just to keep the conversation organic and authentic. That's why the podcast, the format works. Not controlling every detail of the conversation.
Right.
Just try to just let it flow. And if you have to edit something because it may be um, I don't know, risky for your reputation, but you can do that. But try to make the conversations light, fun, organic, and meaningful as well.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I'm very happy that I got to meet you and learn about your work.
Thank you.
Wishing you luck as for this week in New York and then your transition back to the DR. And just
Yeah.
what you're building. I think it's amazing and important to see how entrepreneurs can build a communications company, can also build a podcast that is kind of honoring traditions and honoring people, and you can do it simultaneously, and it all kind of works together. I think
Yeah.
that's a unique setup and something that I looked at and was like, wow, this is very impressive. Um,
Thank you.
so
Thank you for
Laura,
that.
you go ahead.
No, I hope that everything I said, like just I'm sometimes thinking in Spanish and translating to English, that uh all the people that are listening
Oh
to
yeah, no,
to it,
everything that
yeah.
yeah.
I hope that
All
is
right, good.
understood.
I
Yeah.
think I
Yeah.
lost it. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything you said was totally totally easily
Okay,
understandable, and
okay.
there was a
Okay.
little delay there with the web. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, um, yeah, it was very clear and important. I think everyone. I'm just gonna put below, the website, her
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Check out the work that she's doing. Check out the broadcast, Gente Brava, and learn from people who are building new types of companies. Right. This is a kind of unique, novel idea. Laura, again, thank you for joining Global Industry
Yeah.
Spotlight. Thanks for hanging out with me today, even with all the technical difficulties. You're
Thank
calm and,
you.
and, and cool as well. I like that.
Yeah.
Wishing you a great a great week in New York, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Laura Castellanos of Castellanos Communication and Gente Brava. She's kind of built a company that does marketing, but also you know built a podcast that is highlighting different cultures, different people, and is a part of the business, right? So, as an entrepreneur, you can look at what you're building, and build something new, right? Build something impactful, connect making money with social impact. All these things I think are really interesting and important to focus on. Again, my name is Daniel Crane. I am the program director at the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, and this was another episode of Global Industry Spotlight, a conversational series focused on providing resources and insight for the creative entrepreneur. We are streaming out of the Comcast Business Startup Studio, located at 2112, Chicago's first music, film, and tech incubator. Thank you to Comcast Business and Shore for providing the tools necessary to make our programming possible. Visit cceglobal.org to register for free workshops offered by our partners. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, and tune in next Thursday for the first Global Industry Spotlight sponsored by Dell Technologies, where I will talk with Michael Hoffman, the co-founder and CEO of Gather Voices. Should be an exciting conversation. Gather Voices is a technology company that automates the creation, management, and publishing of video content. Wishing everyone a great rest of the day. We will talk with you soon. Take care. And again, go to cceglobal.org. Check out what we're doing. We've got lots of exciting stuff coming your way. Take care.